Hello everyone, my name is Scott Now. I'm speaking on behalf of my group Tommy Van, Blake Arakaki, and George Kane 3. These are research for the final project Econ 495. Our final research based study on relationship between air pollution and housing prices. In this paper, we examine many other variables to more accurately accumulate the relationship between air quality and housing market, such as crime, age, taxes, and much more. Research showed that cross-sectional study using hedonic price model suggests a negative relationship between air pollution indices and housing price. By examining different variables that are pivotal when examining the housing market, we were able to draw conclusions that were indeed a negative correlation with air pollution and housing prices. Home with high pollution rate yield lower prices, and conversely, houses with better air quality are more expensive. David Harrison of the Department of City and Regional Planning at Housing City and Danielle Rubenfeld of the Department of Economic and Institute of Public Policy Study at the University of Michigan collaborated in the research study comparing housing market and air pollution in hedonic housing prices and demand for clean air. They concluded there are two main approaches to solving the issue. One, proxy willingness to pay by cutting additional costs to society from increased air pollution or low expensive associated with improved air quality. Two, examining what consumers are willing to pay to improve air quality derived from housing market study. The assumption that people will pay more for a unit with good air quality region than any equivalent unit in a bad air quality area. These research use data from Boston housing market to gauge quantitative data of citizens willing to pay for better air quality and buying a home. With this data, they was able to establish four-step procedures. One, estimate the hedonic housing model with air pollution and housing. Two, calculate willingness to pay for improved air quality. Three, estimate marginal willingness to pay in urban housing district. Four, use a framework step to calculate per household dollar benefit that control variable. With this procedure, Harrison and Rubenfeld were able to determine the average benefit figure sensitive to different housing value, a willingness to pay function requirement. And the Danielle Sylvan of Harvard University Economic Department conducted efficient research on the effect of air pollution on housing market and migration. In this study, Dr. Sylvan used an atmospheric dispersion model that explicitly accounts for the climate circumstances to predict the impact of each polluting company on each home in the greater Los Angeles and area. In conclusion, his work, the estimated neighborhood sorting response suggests that despite high aggressive value, low-income homes may not have benefited much from the improvement in air quality. In another research conducted at the University of Illinois by Emerson Berbahani and Catherine Nafra, we examined relationship of air pollution with housing market resulting in significant external increase in air pollution. Their area of focus was at Tehran 2010 during imposed sanctions on Iran. These sanctions were intended to put pressure on Iran to stop enrich uranium. Consequently, many petrochemical factories transitioned to refine to generate lower quality gasoline, which other increase air level in surrounding area. The study concluded that low level air pollution are linked to greater prices rent ratios, while higher level air pollution increase the likelihood that property owner will rent rather than live in it. Behembani and Nafa evaluate a welfare analysis that indicate the decline in air quality correlate to the fall in aggregate housing values. Based on our models, we come up with a different type and the negative or positive side. As you see, the crime rate per capita by town CRIM is expected to be a negative sign. As crime rate increases, it will affect the value of the home to go down due to people trying to avoid these areas. The proportion of residential land zone for lots over 200 square feet (ZN) is expected to have a positive sign because the zone area reflects a better area with protections, amenities, and small neighborhoods, usually higher social class. This means the higher proportion will result in higher home values. The percent of non-retail business acres per town index will affect the home value in a negative way due to noise, traffic of industrial area. People like to live in a quiet, peaceful area. Homes that are closer to the riverside usually hold a higher value. Therefore, Charles River jazz had a positive effect on the home values. Nobody likes to live in an environment where air pollution is high. This is why nitric oxide concentration knobs have a negative sign to home. House with more spaces and more room will increase the value of the home. For the rest of the models, positive or negative sides of explanation, please view our research paper. On the table of descriptive statistics, the data set has a total of 506 observations collected from 1970 U.S. Census, and Table 2 is the descriptive statistics of the variable where mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum of each variable will be discovered. The first variable is the dependent variable for this research, MAD-V, the average value owner-occupied home. The average MAD-V have value at $22,533 with 9,197 of standard deviation away from average. The lowest value home was $5,000 and highest value was $50,000. Crime shown on the average of 3,614 per capita crime rate by town with a standard deviation of 8,602 per capita away from the mean. The lowest crime rate is 0.006, while the highest crime rate is 80.97 per capita. The data show an average of 11.364 residential land zone for lots over 2,500 square feet. It has a standard deviation of 23,322 land. Lowest proportion of zone land is 0, and the highest is 100. Index is the proportion of non-retail business acre per town, showing an average of 11.137 acre per town, and has standard deviation of 8.86 away. The low proportion was recorded to be 0.46 acre per town, while the highest was 27.74 acre per town. The air pollution NOx saw an average of 0.555 pphm part per 10 million. Nitrate oxide concentration with 0.116 pphm standard deviation away from the average. The highest pollution concentration will be called at 0.871 pphm, and the lowest was at 0.385 pphm. The average number of rooms per owner home from all observations shown as mean of 6.285 rooms, along with a standard deviation of 0.703 room away from the average. The home with the highest average number of rooms is 8.78 and the lowest is 3.56 room. There's an average of 68.57 owner unit built prior to 1940. Standard deviation shows 20.15 units. For the rest of the explanation of data, please visit our research paper or you can view them. On table 3, matrix of correlation coefficients. Surveys show the correlation coefficient between variables. If it have a positive number, it means it is a positive shift. The closer to 1 is the strongest shift is. However, If correlation coefficient between the variable is negative number, it means it have a negative relationship. Also, closer to negative means strong relationship is. The result of crime rate matches the expected sign of table 1. The correlation coefficient between crime and MADV is negative 3AA, a negative and a weak relationship. The zone area Zn also matches the expectation at the beginning to have a positive shift with the home value MADV. However, the shift is weak, negative 0.3604. Zn have a negative and weak relationship with CRIM. The index had a negative and mild relationship with MADV, negative 0.4837, providing prediction sign between these variables were correct. Index also have a negative mild relationship with Zn, but have a positive mild relationship with CRIM. Charles River Chess was expected to have a positive relationship with MADV, which also show table 3, but the relationship is weak, 0.1753. Chats have a negative relationship with both CRIM and Zn, but positive with index. Nitric oxide concentration, NOx, reflect a negative mild relationship with MADV of 0.4273, relevant to the prediction above. NOx have a positive relationship with CRIM, index, and chats, but a negative relationship with Zn. An average room per home RM show a positive and strong correlation with MADV 0.6954, providing expected size will relevant IM have a negative relationship with CRIM, index, and NOx. Y have a positive correlation with ZN and CHAS. For the rest of explanation of relationship, please see our research paper. Regression coefficient result. Table 4 shows two regression models for the median value a homeowner occupying. One that includes air pollution variable NOx and other does not, except for the variable index and age. We have a 0 star of variable have a statistic significance of 2 or 3 stars. Furthermore, the sign for the coefficient index and age did not meet expectations, as did the smallest magnitude of their coefficient, which could be explained by their low statistical significance. The final variable does not meet expectation is B, which represents proportion of black people by town. White people may have interpreted there is a negative for housing prices in 1970. However, coefficient is positive with a small magnitude, indicating variable B is not determinant to housing prices. The magnitude of the variable CRIM and LSTAT, which represent crime and socioeconomic status, show that LSTAT have roughly 5 times the negative impact on housing prices as crime, because crime tend to be higher in a poor neighborhood. This could indicate that connectivity problem between two variables. The CRIM should have a larger magnitude and LSTAT should have a smaller magnitude. Similarly, the parent-teacher ratio or property tax rate, which is represent the variable ratio tax, suffer from the connectivity problem because property tax are used to fund school. The magnitude of ratio should be much lower than the magnitude of tax should be higher when determining the negative impact on housing prices. Residential land larger than 25,000 square feet, ZN, the average number of rooms, and riverside location, CHAS, all add significant value to home. In addition, variable RAD, which represent easy access to highway, raises the value of the home. Variable DIS, on the other hand, living far away from employment center, have a negative impact on housing prices. All the magnitude appear reasonable in line with expectation. The final variable NOx confirmed the air pollution have a negative effect on housing prices. The metal NOx, on the other hand, is extremely high, which could be due to air pollution not having linear effect on home prices or an omitted variable bias. While the coefficient of these two models do not differ significantly, adding the NOx variable improved the goodness of fit, indicating that air pollution had an important factor to consider when determining housing prices. In this study, we examined housing market and how air quality have a negative correlation to the pricing of housing. We used many different variables to cross-examine our work and were able to come with a clear conclusions. There are few limitations to this study that result in a slightly biased result. However, even though there are minor flaws to research, there is a clear distinction between pricing in houses with better air quality and heavier polluted regions. Similarly to the fact that there are many variables that go into buying homes, such as crime rate, affordability, social comfort, and more. Many other counter argue that air quality cannot be more reason with the difference in housing prices. Nevertheless, with the research done, we are able to account for these many variables and draw individual conclusions, including air quality. To further this research, there are different approaches that could be used to furthermore isolate the correlation between air quality and housing market. For instance, one could examine the childbirth and the healthiness of the child being born in a better air quality and compared to children who were born in worse condition. Consider comparing these two variables have been quite a task at hand since the 1960s and still remain to be difficult, can easily be justified this process being rather difficult. This is conclude our research project presentation for Econ 495. Thank you.